So the sequence of pieces that evolved from this notion of producing games were called recovery games. And I made about a dozen large installation pieces along those lines. And I thought I'd show you one of them that was done, although it's not a textile piece, it's really rooted within a lot of characteristics of a textile tradition. As it happened, I was in the studio and I was doing some drawing, and I came up with this kind of creature that I think is interesting. To me, it looks a little bit like an undersea kind of character. I made several copies of them and kind of put it into repetition. And then I began to think about my own background in designing pattern design for textiles. And one of the early ways in which one learns to design a pattern is to create a motif and then turn it a quarter of a turn 4 times, which is called tiling. And in the relationship, you begin to explore what the potential of the image looks like as it's changed in various positions. So I thought, well, that's kind of an intriguing idea. Why don't I make several of these pieces and then turn them in 4 directions. I put all of this up on the wall, kind of a little test case, and looked at these 4 zones. And you can see them here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in each zone, the subject is turned a quarter of a turn. I looked at them and I thought, you know, that whole history of pattern making was really like game playing. And it truly is. And you can talk to any designer and they'll tell you how much pleasure there is in discovering the potential of the motif. So I thought, why don't I combine this activity with the physical activity of playing a game? Let me show you how this works. So if you pick up the piece like so, you can see the balls are moving and there is a destination for every one of those balls. What I like so much about this is that this is a way of thinking about the whole notion of yardage relative to textiles. For example, you know, if you go to the local fabric store and you buy 3 yards of something, somebody bought the 5 yards before you, somebody else is going to buy 3 yards after you. You never know what has happened before and what has happened afterward. And likewise with the game, it seems to have unending possibilities. It can be played over and over and over again. This sense of endlessness is very much rooted in the whole history of textiles. One inherits techniques, one passes them on to other people. One inherits images and passes them on. One creates products and puts them into the marketplace. There's always this sense of cycling. So again, the relationship of the game to the textile seemed really potent to me.